So this is the math lesson from yesterday, Wednesday. So I am going to just show you the answers. So I know math box number 1 was maybe a little bit tricky for some people, maybe even 2. So I'll show you the answers, and if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, I'm going to start with this one, number 3, first, because knowing your fractions, decimals, and percent equivalents can really help you to solve these problems. So let's do this one first. 70%. I know that's the same as 70 hundredths. And that's how you write 70 hundredths as a decimal. You could also just take out the 0. 7/10 would be the same as 70 hundredths. And then the fraction would be 7/10. Or you could even write it 70 hundredths. 7/10 would be the reduced fraction. So if you can reduce it into lowest terms, that's the best. Okay, 75 hundredths, that'd be the same as 75%. Now I could write this as 75 over 100, but I'm hoping that you all will get to know that 75 out of 100, like 75 cents out of $1, is the same as 3/4, 3/4. Okay, 3/5. Now I know 1/5 is 20 cents or 20 hundredths. So 3 of those would be, so I want to keep this in my mind. That's 1/5. And I want 3 of those. So 3/5 would be 0.6 or 0.60, 60 cents. And that would be 60%. Litchi. Come on. Okay. 72% would be the same as 72 hundredths. 72 over 100. Now I know I can reduce that because they're both even numbers. But I'm going to try and think, what's the biggest number I can divide both of these by? Let's see, I think it's 4. I'm going to divide them both by 4. Now I know 20 divided by 4 would be 25, like 25 cents, 25 quarters, or 4 quarters. 72 is a little bit harder. Let's see. That could be 4 goes into 7 one time. I have 3 left over, so I think it's 18. Okay, so 18 25ths. That's a little bit trickier, but if you know how to reduce. Okay, let's go back up here. Keep some of these things in mind. So finding percent of numbers. 10% is the same as 1/10. 1/10 of $1 would be a dime, 10%. So 1/10 of 90. If you remember how to find fractions of numbers, you just basically take the whole number and divide it by 10 equal parts, and I'd get 9. And I only have 1 of them. So 10% of 90 would be 9. On B, I would still do 10%. 10%'s usually a little bit easier. So I'm going to do 10% of 140. I'm going to take 140 and divide it by 10 equal parts, and I get 14. Right? But I want 5%, which is half of 10%, so I want half of 14, which is 7. Okay, now C and D, we don't know the percent. We need to find the percent. So we're going to make what we know into a fraction, because we can always take a fraction like we did here and make it into a decimal or percent. So of 30, that's my whole number. That's the denominator. And I know 25 is part of 30. So that's my numerator. Now I can reduce this. I know they're both even. So what am I going to divide them both by? 6 is correct. So 24 divided by 6 is 4. 30 divided by 6 is 5. Now, I know I did my 3/5 down here. 1/5, remember, is 20% or 20 hundredths, and I want 4 of them. So that would be 20, 40, 60, 80. So 24 is 80% of 30. Okay, D is the same way. I'll show it over here though. Okay, my whole, whoops. I'm going to make a fraction. Okay, of 40. 48, sorry, is my whole number. That's the denominator. 36 is my part. So 36 is what percent of 48? Now, I know I can divide these because they're both even, but I'm going to look for the biggest number I can divide them both by. Now, since I know my factors pretty well, I know I can divide both of these by 12. Some of you might know your 12s pretty well and saw that. So 36 divided by 12 is 3. Whoops, I shouldn't do that there. And 48 divided by 12 is 4. Well, what is 3/4 of a dollar? 3/4? 75%. Okay. Now, those are the types of problems you might see on the test. This is definitely a little bit trickier, but keeping all of what you know so far about percents and decimals and fractions in mind. So now, I don't know my whole number. I am looking for this denominator, but I know 9 is part of something, and I know 9 is 20%. Well, if I think about, go back kind of up here, 10%. And 10% and 10% is 2. So this is 2 parts, or 2 equal parts of something. So if I divide 9 into 2 parts, I get 4.5, 4.5. Okay, 4.5 is 10%, right? 2 of these would be 20%, which is 9. So if I take this, and I need 10 of them for the whole thing. I need my whole number. So 4.5, if I add it 10 times or multiply it by 10, I'm going to get 45. That is a tricky one. So if E is like, I have no idea what you just did, that's okay. These are the most important ones up here. If you can find the percent or the fraction of a number, that's awesome right now. Okay, number 2, you had to insert the parentheses to make it a true statement. Well, I know this over here is 30. 3 times 10. So I have to make this greater than 30. So if I put parentheses here, that's 24 plus 3, which would be 27. Is that greater than 30? Nope. So I know I'm going to have to do this. 4 times 9 is 36. 36 is greater than 30, so that is the answer. Okay, 18. I have to make this side equal 18. So I'm going to do a little check-in. So if I do this, I know that would be 33 plus 15. Well, I know 33 is already bigger than 18, so it can't be that. So it's got to be this. 24 plus 15 is 39, right? 57 minus 39? Yes, that's 18. Okay, C. This is, I know 1 times 2 is 2, and then I'm going to add my 3 zeros. Wow, 2,000. So this side has to equal 2,000. So if I do this, I know that's 1,200, right? 4 times 3 is 12, and add my 2 zeros plus 60. That's not going to equal 2,000. So let's do this. 30 plus 60 is 90. You know what? Oh yeah, sorry. I didn't look at my sign. It has to be greater than. So 40 times 90. I know 4 times 9 is 36. And I'm going to add my 0 there, and 0 there. 36 is greater than 2,000. Okay, last one, 14. I have to have this equal 14. Well, I know this 56 divided by 7 is 8. 8 minus 3 would not equal 14. So these are just kind of guess and checks. That's 4. What's 56 divided by 4? 14. Always remember, you always, once you do an operation, always go back and work from left to right in a math problem, just like we read in a book. Okay, 268. I'll just show you this work real quick. This is review. I hope you're all doing well with this. 12 goes into 2. 0 times 12 goes into 26 twice, which is 24. I have a remainder of 2. Pull down the 8. 12 goes into 28 2 times, which is 1. 24 again. I have a remainder of 4. Now, 3 ways to show that. I could do 22 remainder, oh, it didn't work, 24, or I can write my remainder over my divisor, so I could have 22 and 4/12. And I know that can reduce by 4, so this would actually reduce to, come on, where is it? Okay, I'll have to do it down here. 22, if I divide both of these by 4, I would get 1/3. Okay? Or I can make this into a decimal, and it would be 22 point, you all know what 1/3 is a decimal, 0.33333, it goes on forever, so I'm going to do that. That's a repeating decimal. So 4 ways, or 3 ways. 1, 2, 3 ways to write those answers. Okay. Then down here, nobody really had, as long as you do your best. Now, I'm not going to do a very good job. So as long as this side over here looks exactly like that. Okay, that's symmetry. Now the number model here was to find the area per parallelogram. I want the base and multiply that times how tall it is, which is 2. So the area is 16. Now that little symbol here means inches. So inches squared, because we're finding the area, this how much space is inside ours. So if you have questions, either email me or we can talk about it this morning at our meeting.